Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Playday number 2 for the Talent League Season 9. Feels like we've been here quite a long time, and you know what? Season 9 to kick things off is a wonderful place to be back with. I am Golumolu. I will be casting a couple of the games tonight. And for game number 1, I am joined by the one, the only, it's Jamboree. Jamboree, look, it's going to be a bit of fun tonight, right? We get to see some games. Hopefully you're not going to be stuck with Oregon again, but how are you feeling this evening? Coming into this? Good day? Building up to it?
Yeah, I'm feeling excited. It's been a couple of days since I've been casting, so I'm excited to see some good siege is what I'm excited to see.
You never know what you're going to be treated to, right? Obviously, you got the opportunity for some very, very consistent standard plays, but look, if there's one thing that you know to expect in T4, it's the chaos, it's the confusion, it's that fine line between genius and insanity that we just love to ride along. Maybe you see some Amaru rushes, Blitz just berserking on through, but we also have the new season that launched this afternoon, right? So is there a chance that we see some shenanigans with some of the new tools available now?
Yeah, well, somebody's going to do it, let's be honest. Well, it just depends. We might see the ban, of course, it is a best of one, so they might see the ban on the operator just because no one wants to deal with it, but I'm hoping they'll let it through just to give us that bit of excitement and the intensity of what's going to happen, something different, give us some excitement.
We're gonna have to have an award ready for the first player to die to their own defensive trap that's been converted by Brava. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with the updates, Brava, the new operator, is certainly something new to the attacking lineup, right? You have these drones you can deploy down, a little bit like a Twitch drone, but rather than destroying those gadgets, you hack them, turn them for your own good. You can steal ADSs to catch out smoke canisters and C4s. You can hack bandit batteries. Don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. Maybe okay, here's the real trick, right? You hack a bandit battery in a barbed wire, and then someone dies because they don't think to check if the bandit battery is theirs when they walk through it. Now, I don't think we've seen a bandit wire since maybe season 2.
Yeah.
But
The reason now.
yeah, there's a reason not to now, exactly. But I think the main one you want to look out for is those cap cans, those thorns, potentially a goo mine as well. That could be pretty funny. There's a couple cool ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally anything, isn't it? It's one of those ones where we've not seen an operator in a while. Well, anyway, I think that's changed the meta a bit and actually made people think a bit more. I mean, obviously, we had just off the back of Grim Solus, I guess, was kind of like that, but because she's a specific play style, it doesn't affect it as much. This actually affects the relationship with other gadgets, which is something we don't see that much. So it's nice that we're getting some different and some excitement. So I'm hoping we get to see it. But like I say, best of one. I'm very conscious of the fact that someone will probably ban it, I think.
Any test server streams that you might tune into, you'll see that Solace ban rate be really high, because obviously with the test server, people want to try out the new goodness, and with Brava coming in, it's a drone. What's the obvious counter to drones that already existed from the last season? Well, that's Solace. And so you're looking to just maybe not deal with that. Already a good operator who kind of takes away the strength of one of those fun new things to play with. But I think there's a lot of... I don't think Brava's going to be your bog standard that you shoe-in pick, right? It's going to be something where you maybe spot something in the prep phase, you're on your drone and you see, hey, they've set up this Capcan spot in a really awkward position. Maybe we can just mess around with them a little bit. Perhaps you see, I don't know, like a Banshee or just something kind of funny that'd be amusing to hack. We'll have to wait and see how long it actually takes for her to find her sort of niche within the meta. But until then, we still have lots of other fun things to look out for. The first of those is going to be the map that we are playing on tonight, Jamboree. Is there anything you want to see? Anything?
Just like saying Oregon, you mentioned at the start, as long as it's not something that's a bit tedious and something like that. I want a true best of one experience. I want a shoot for shoot kind of type scenario where it's just straight gunners. We're gonna hide strats a little bit and be a little bit kind of out there. That's usually what happens in best of ones. They don't tend to do too much setup. It's more like you say Amaru strats. Testing new things and stuff like that to see, and then obviously relying on that gun skill. So I'm hoping that it's just something that's a bit exciting. I'd like to see something like Sky or something like that, something a bit attacker sided, Chalet, anything like that would be nice. And I do apologise if you can see my cat flying around in the background. He's causing absolute havoc behind me. So apologise if that's distracting anybody, but I'm sure he'll settle down at some point. He's just excited like me.
Always good to get the pets on in the show. You know what? It's going to be a skyscraper game today. And before we jump into the game, we'll throw quickly to the staff predictions, see kind of what people expected from our first matchup here tonight. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. One of these teams coming off of a win very recently, one having that loss in the first week. So you're looking at it. I mean, look, Illés, they're the ones that are going to have a lot of that favor around them, where you're looking at their opponents, not quite the start you want. They're currently sitting bottom of the leaderboard after their 7-2 loss last week to Goldinis. So Skyscraper's going to be an interesting one, I think. And I think for both of these teams, just to see what they've got on a more quirky, unorthodox map should be good fun.
Yeah. Well, Sky's always fun. Sky's always a fun experience because it's still relatively new back into comp compared to the other ones. It doesn't have as much kind of it's not got the pedigree behind it where like Oregon and Club have kind of became a little bit stale because everybody knows. I think even casual viewers would tune into it and go, "Oh, I know how to play Club at this point." Like, whereas Sky's still kind of fresh. It's only been in there for a couple of seasons now, so it's still something that you don't see as much. And because of that, you get quite an attacker-sided kind of gunplay type thing going on, and that's what I want to see. Some excitement. I'm raring to go.
It also makes it quite interesting. We've seen every time it's been played at a big event, you see kind of some changes to how people want to hold it, and different teams having their own sort of ideas. The general consensus is that this map can be quite comfortable to be on the defensive end of, though, right? You have a lot of space that the attackers kind of want to take away. The ban of the Monty coming through first of all. I mean, look, you can say what you will about Monty. If you have a player who can bring that shield, it can be a real lethal force to deal with. We've seen so many times throughout Siege's history where a team is able to bring out this pocket pick and it really send the defenders for a spin. And Vitalize are going to match that with an Osa ban as well. And both of these are great operators at forcing your way in up black stairs. So that does kind of take away the potency of that push from the attack.
But that does mean that a certain someone has managed to slip through the ban phase so far. So Bravo will be on the scoreboard at least. So we'll be able to be picked. I wonder if anyone will ticket. Solace still being banned. Not surprised to see her still getting banned. I think she's still going to get banned for at least another while because people are just terrified of the possibility that they can't place drones and pre-place them and set up their attack. It's just a nightmare to deal with. So I think we'll see her getting banned for another couple of seasons at least. Valk banned to run things out. She's always been a strong ban. She always will be a strong ban because those cams are so pernickety to try and deal with. So not surprised to see those two. The first two though, the two shield operators to go. That's one that's kind of thrown me a little bit. I'm kind of shocked to see both of them go, both Osa and Monty together. But like I say, I'm quite new to PC side of things. I've been casting on console for the last few years, so seeing the difference in the bands and the difference in the playstyles is quite nice. So something that's thrown me for a loop, but that's maybe an explanation that later down the line.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how that impacts things. I think Osa is a massive operator for that. You're looking at spaces like Black where you can walk in, you can command that long corridor and cut off some of these rotations to defenders. But also on the flip side of the map, right? You're thinking about playing that balcony outside of Office to be able to drop the shields down, have a little bit of control to play around the breach, be less punished if anyone runs out of terrace as well. Just kind of creating these slightly safer positions to sit behind, especially on a map like Skyscraper, where you're seeing how this defense is spreading out across the whole of this top floor, just to really try and force the attack to spend a lot of time to clear it out. Not having that extra assistance clearing, well, you never know what that quite means, but Vitalize is going to be starting their attack, as you'd expect, by going for this full clearance. They want that space around Shrine, around Drum to be able to play. But a bit of aggressive action coming out early on from the Warden, looking for a pick outside.
Yep, the pressure just coming in from that east side. It looks as though that is pretty much the angle of attack for the attackers here. So it's pretty much the same clear as what you'll see each time. You'll see a reverse of this depending on which site it is. Of course, it is T on the other side, so that's where the attackers would like to clear from. They clear from the east to west, or if it was the Office site, they clear from west to east. That's usually what it is. It's kind of like Villa, where it's like a kind of flip-flop kind of scenario where they just want to clear through the map, try and make sure there's no one that can come up from behind them, make sure they have the map control to get the ability to get as close to the site. to start to constrict down and get that execute done. There was only that early kind of engagement there with the Warden, but since then it's been all but quiet. Everybody's just been making the angles, making sure they can get into the map, whatnot, and it's pretty much what's been happening. It's kind of slow going just now. They're slowly moving to the map. A minute is gone. Now we're up to exhibition now, and the first pick has just been opened up. That is the Warden that does find the first shot onto Hydro there. That's able to get the first kill on the board for the defenders and just feeding them now. The second kill in a row, and now there's at least one remaining just to try and find that refrag, and it's a 4 versus 3 situation, and now things are starting to unlock in this round.
Yeah, a little bit awkward though. You've lost that Yara who has the frag grenades you're looking for. This deployable shield still up on Shrine. You can see Kevin trying to work in tandem with the Ash to get rid of it. That's going to be the sign for them to fall back a little bit, right? But now they just reinforce that double wall. They can sit inside of sight. You still got the Ace, you still got the Thatcher. You can get these walls opened as the defense now giving a little bit more space. They're in that 4 versus 3. They don't want to give up the man count here because you can start to play these longer angles and look for opportunities to catch the attack off as they're walking on into drum. You still have Mr. Easter looking to apply that pressure on the top of Shrine and be trying to catch him who swing out from T. The breach, it's important to get it opened up, and that will force this player to move back a little bit as it starts to open. You've got the two halfers that can just duck in behind though, so being quite patient on stepping back away from the front line.
Yep, the wall though is finally open though, so they have at least an avenue of attack to get in towards getting that plant. But the smoke grenade will now ring out to at least slow them down though, but the pick comes out on towards that smoke, and now it's a 2 versus 3 situation. Two quick ones coming out in concession there, and now things will go a bit quiet for just before they tee up this execution now. 2 versus 2 again. Now the Ash does fall and pushing in to get that plant now. Adapts is getting that down on the floor. Kevin on the coverage, just waiting for anyone that could be going for the swing, and surely they hear the sound cue that there is now the diffuser on the ground, and they now have to act. The diffuser is live, and it's a 1 versus 2 situation. Hector though is going to be on the hunt though, finds one. It's a 1 versus 1. He just needs to find this final pick, and it will be all over for the attackers. But remember, it is cooking. It is live. 27 seconds on the clock. The defender is the one that has to make the move. They have to do this. So they're going to go for this. Surely going to stick this though. He's now going to have to go for it. But Kevin is there on the coverage and gets the final shot. And now the attackers are able to take that round.
Let's see what he's trying to go for there, using that bit of a wall in between the two breaches to maybe try and use for cover, but with how much space there is, with how much time there was still left on the clock, I feel like trying to push a little bit more might have been the answer. Either way, Kevin in that position knows what he's doing, right? He knows how to play this one out, and he's going to wait patiently. He's going to force the Jaeger to have to make that move, and when Hector commits to the plant, when he hears the second buzz, that's where he's going to jump forwards and try and just spring into action. And now, the attack, taking that first round away, a little bit of a shake-up, right? As IAS, you're looking to try and take the first round win, move on to your next site comfortably with that sort of confidence boost to start with. Vitalize getting that upper hand, being able to bounce back from the 4 versus 3 as we saw IAS made that effort to draw back their line. Right, they didn't want to stay up in their face. They wanted to give Vitalize a little bit of room while they shot up the angles. The problem is they didn't give themselves refrag opportunities, and that led to them losing out the 2 big picks that you caught, right? And
10 seconds left.
oh no, I think when you have this kind of a roam setup, if you drop back off of it, you need to make sure you have these kind of traps ready to jump on remaining attackers to make sure they can't find these avenues back into rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was the roam wasn't too bad. It was about a minute they'd wasted, and it wasn't until the first pick came in about a minute and 45. I apologize for the silence in the background. But about a minute and 45 is when the first pick rang out, so the roam wasn't too bad. It was able to waste quite a bit of time, but it was just that sheer click of aggression that came out from the attackers just to get 1, 2, 3 and a couple of picks, and then suddenly they'd got the full control of Dragon like that. So it was like the middle round was where it fell apart for the defenders there. But hopefully this time they tidy things up. But there is a Claymore to go down in that window, and I don't think they were aware of there's someone just lying in wait on the other side of the door. Mr. Easter takes a little bit of damage and decides to put down 2 Claymores just for good measure, but they're still on the other side of that window waiting for a potential shot there. Hector just gotta go back to T now and just assume it's gonna hold out that side now.
Yeah, and again, just playing it slow, right? You have that pressure on the window, you give Mr. Easter something to think about. Now with that double Claymore there, you're not going to be jumping out in a hurry. You jump out, you shoot one, there's still another one to deal with. I don't think you're catching both. Now Kevin, having opened up a little bit of those breaches, rotating around to join back with the rest of the team. You still got the Thatcher on Repel, so if anyone should get a little bit overzealous, they could be caught out, but it's Mr. Easter trying to make his approach into T, who's the first to fall. Ree once again finding the opening pick for their team. Are they able to turn that into a round win, Chamberlain? Though that will be the big thing we need to see. There's still a minute and a half left, but they've done a good job of slowing down this Vitalize push. You see the players waiting patiently, but none of the attack really making that spring move that you need to do to draw out the defense. But as I say that, he goes for the swing. J9, he just picks the right time.
Yep. Perfectly played there. It was just timing, unfortunately, just not got the crosshair in the exact position for the player. The Mozzie was ready for it. J9 just was able to land the shots, and now we're in a 5 versus 3 situation. But if you remember correctly, we did technically end up in a 5 versus 3 situation in the last round, but all but briefly in the favour of the defenders, and they blew it. It was only for a couple of seconds before the refrags came out, so I'm hoping for a little bit of electricity to come out for the attack here to actually try and get some momentum through and get a couple of picks to get this back in their favour, because they've won from this position before. I'm hoping that they can at least try and put it up again, but are you expecting there to be 2 players inside the Dragon? I don't know if they are. They've finally dealt with the shield. They now at least have a push in, but there's one waiting for it. Hector's just round the corner, knows there's a player there, and they're running out the back, just able to get the final shot, and now Hector as well just there to clean things up. And that is a round going for the defenders this time.
Yeah, it's just taking them a little bit too long to clear out this utility, right? You lose Mr. Easter and nothing really happens until Adapts walks out to the balcony looking for some pressure around Terrorist. With the Mozzie under no real threat from Drum Door, free to be looking at the window, free to be gun ready for the fight, and comes out on top of it again. And I think this is just the problem so far for Vitalize in these rounds is most of the time we haven't really seen strong clear with the utility in mind. And that round it really caught them out, because by the time they finally do get the shield, they're very one-dimensional. You know exactly what to expect from them in the 5 versus 3. They're just a little bit desperate for something to happen. I want to see them move a little bit faster. You have that for a T-room. Just send in the flashbangs. We saw that you had Joey just ready in Disco Doorway, right? In Karaoke, you can throw those stuns in, you can test out this Jaeger to see if there's the shield to do. Just be a little bit quicker. Just have a little bit more urgency to some of these pushes. You clear out that space, you can start to apply that pressure on Terrace with support from Drum.
Yeah, I mean, they're, like I said, the first couple of, like, the first minute of the round isn't too bad. They're actually getting in decent places. When they come up, like you were saying, it's when they come up against the utility part that becomes an issue. We've seen it teased a little bit in the first round where the Ace was struggling to get the wall open, and they took a little bit of time to do that. They'd already at least got the map control enough to waste the time doing that, but this time obviously because they hadn't actually been able to get any map control and they just got stuck at that shield, and then they just had no choice to eventually go, you know, just to swing this and hope for the best. And Hector was just lying there with open arms being like, you know what, fine, I'll take that, thank you very much, I'll take the 3 kills and we'll just win this round off of the back of that. And it was, you know, chaos at the end of the round, and it just completely descended. Early pressure low coming out towards that site that's inside the bathroom. Of course they are just going to try and hold a little bit of as well, some vertical play, but most of the attackers are on this south side just trying to go from that window, put some pressure to anyone inside that bathroom area.
Yeah, the early grenade tried to be thrown in, trying to catch them off. Not going to do the job, but now you're 1 down, still 1 in the pocket of Hydro for when he wants to use it later. With the breach opened above, they can start to rappel onto the balcony and try and peel away at this top layer of the defense. A little bit nervous about the terrorist or run out, as anyone should be. It has a bad reputation for a reason. But now the drones, we need to see them start to come in. Thatcher also coming off the rappel now just to try and gather this information, but nothing's coming through to this attack. And once again, we're seeing them in positions where they can walk through, unable to really capitalize. This push downstairs now to expand and get the wall open up into bathroom. Maybe they're just playing on top floor for this denial game, trying to trick with the claw, but it's not come through soon enough. They'll be able to get both parts of the wall open up. The drone jumping on through, but the first pick once again going against Vitalize, as McKay's able to swing for a further double kill. Chamberlain, he's looking for the ball to the door, he sees the head of the ace, but Kevin's able to put that one to bed, and a second, and looking for the third on the swing, but no! Bought out, too greedy, looking to secure the injured player before, does get that done, has left Mr. Easter in the 1 versus 2. Gonna walk down house stairs now. The ping's coming through. They know one player, and he's just spied out the second. So he has the information on where the 2 remaining defenders are, but they know he's walking down this staircase, and they're going to adjust themselves accordingly to try and catch him out when he pushes on down. The default camera already gone, so the defenders just relying on the sound calls as he starts to walk down the stairs. The swing coming in from the Jaeger is gonna be good. And the defenders win another successful defense, putting themselves up 2-1 now.
Wow, that's a big mistake there on the attack's part. They did the hard work. They got the breach upstairs. They put the pressure on the players upstairs. They made them rotate. They didn't know. They didn't quite go as far into as recon in that top floor to make sure that they actually cleared it out. But they had done it because of the pressure they put on that wall. They then go downstairs, rotate round, know that there's not going to be as many people on that side, so they open that wall, and then they just shut their eyes. They open it up, and they're like, "Yeah, but you know what? They got it for, I think they got it for so like free, I guess, if you want to call it that. They got access to that wall so easily. They were able to open it up with no pressure whatsoever, that they weren't expecting there to actually be someone in the vicinity, and the Cade was just eating that up, just hiding on the reinforcement. But for me, someone should be paying attention to that breach. There's 3 people there. Someone has to be looking at that hole you've just made. What's the point in making it if no one's actually going to be paying attention? Just allowing the Cade to do that. And of course, if you're going to open, leave the door open a little bit, these players are going to walk right in and take that round out from under you.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck on a drone in front of a breach. That's generally a good way to become a free kill for your opponent. And I mean, look, I'm sure they're not going to complain about free kills on the side of IAS, but you're looking at this from the Vitalize point of view. Free kills, not the sort of thing you want to be giving up so early on into a game. And on these attacking rounds where you've shown from the first round what you can do when you have opportunities, when you have a couple openings to play around, maybe that was just a bit of catching up with the pace of the game from IAS though, because since then they've looked a lot better in their decision making, their movements as a team. And you're not really seeing the same openings emerge for the attack to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening. The first round, of course, we've seen quite a bit of aggression, and it was almost like they just were able to get that 1-2 punch and then continue the momentum through the round for the attacks. And since then, they've just been stopped at every twist and turn. There has always been someone to at least slow them down. Early engagement just happening upstairs here. Mr. Easter taking a little bit of damage on that window at the moment. Of course, who is going to be on the other side of that engagement? Of course, it's Hector on the other side, just waiting for any opportunity to try and send out a couple of shots through the window. And sends another one out the doorway and is able to get Hydro down to about 5 HP. So not looking too great on the attack so far for their HP points.
Bree just still wandering around by Shrine. Wants to find another one of these early engagements. What? It's 2 rounds now. He's been the first pick. Well, found the first pick. Hasn't been dying first. But now, with the way this attack's looking, very much focused on Black Stairs. Don't want to go for that full-out clear. Hector locked in the corner by Black Stairs. If they can get an opportunity to walk up, to challenge this spot for the Aruni, you have that opening in through the wall to take a bit of space. The wall reinforced off gives you a bit of cushion as well. Obviously, you still have to worry about the player inside a Geisha, but that's where the repel in from the Ash can really start to put the pressure on. 1 minute left, though, Camry, for them to make their move. As they're up the top, they're going to get swung on. Joe gets one, but Can swinging in tandem with Hector, and Skakali is able to get the double. But now, well, things look a little bit more grim. So you're just trying to see what can you salvage left. You've still got one on Rappel, one downstairs in Bathroom, who will also look to walk up Black. And despite the opening in Geisha being breached, you have to find a way to break through.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to stay out for a little bit, for the last kind of 30 seconds at least, as things kind of, as they try to feel out what's going to happen at the end. But just to say that, of course, Joker's activated inside the Geisha and gets himself one, and it's a 3 versus 2 situation. Mr. Easter still remained on that window pretty much the whole round. They've just taken way too long to get anywhere near the actual map. They pretty much funneled into one door and basically just gave their life set. 2 versus 1 now, as Mr. Easter, though, is finally able to find one. Eventually gets himself into the map to actually get himself a kill, and now he's on a 1 versus 2 situation. There are no one at near sight, but now he's at least able to get a foot in the door potentially, but I think he's probably going to be put in the dirt before he's even got a foot there, and that's exactly what happens. 2 versus 1, not quite able to get any kind of headway towards the site, and it just falls apart there. The attack are not quite able to string anything in terms of form together at all so far.
Yeah, and you can see what they were going for there, right? Trying to get in above, trying to play this vertical options to give themselves the ability to pressure these site anchors down below. But that was never really an option for them because they got stopped at the first hurdle on the doorway. And you can say what you want, you can do what you will, but if you're not going to be able to take the space above, you're going to have a hard time then applying any pressure below when that was where all the focus was. And because of that, they tried all 4 bomb sites, Chamberlain. It's not often that you can say a team went to all 4.
Yeah, I mean, 4 bombs at the sites to... It's always nice, actually. It's nice to get a full rotation of every single site on a map. It happens so rare. There's very rare occurrences where it would happen because not a lot of the games, not a lot of the maps have 4 good sites that you can actually defend, and that's the nice thing about Skyscraper. I think when they rework, they are all defendable, and they all have an options that you can bring to it, and it's nice that they've been able to do that. Of course, they did lose 1, but that was more because of the good attack and not so much their poor defense. The attack actually strung together some form in terms of the coordination and cohesion of their attack, and they were able to land a couple of good quick kills, which they haven't been able to do. They've been pretty much, like you were saying, stopped at the first hurdle every single round so far. They just can't get in the. They couldn't get in the building there. It was like, you know, the Ash was on that rappel for most of the time. And it wasn't until they were in a 2 versus 2 situation with 30 seconds on the clock that the Ash actually entered the building, which is insane to even suggest that way, because everybody knows the stigma that Ash mains face is that they're in the building too quick. And sometimes that's what you want. But opening pick here is going to go towards Joker. Mozzie is going to eat that up, and Joey is the one to fall first.
I mean, again, it's just you're losing members before anything significant can really occur in the rounds, and I have to say I'm a little bit baffled by this choice here, right? You've got Joey, yes, he has the hard breach gadget, but you're attacking onto Karaoke T. Why are you bringing Hibana as your only form of hard breach? This is a criminal offense in my books, and you're looking at what they have left to do now, right? You've still got to try and get away to get control of Drum, to get control of Shrine. Then when you do that, you need to breach in towards T because that wall will be reinforced off by IAS. They are currently still struggling over that control for Office. You can see the defense starting to fall back. Warden Ree once again on this position in Dragon, just hugging it. They're actually gonna falter back a little bit. Just gonna drop away back to that deployable shield, which makes a lot of sense because you saw them put that double ADS on it earlier on in the round, being pinged out to give information to the team. You need that Hibana to come in with those flashbangs to get rid of that position now.
Yep, and this way we've seen them get a little bit stuck the last time. C4 though is going to find its mark from Joker. I think that was pre-placed actually. Yeah, I think that's pre-placed. He's waiting for it. Mr. Easter though is also going to get himself another one though, so at least they've got some form of, you know, a backdoor into this site, or into this round, should I say. At least being able to get one so far, but Adaption is going to take a little bit of damage just trying to clear out that shield, and still they try and batter their head against the wall to get rid of the shield. And look how much utility they're having to spend to actually get it, and how much time though, crucially, because there's 40 seconds left on the clock though, but Mr. Easter now has finally been able to get rid of it, and has now moved up to the position to get themselves onto the doorway in towards that T room and see if they can get this round under wraps.
4 X-Currers left, the breach double reinforced now, so you no longer have that option to enter through it. You can maybe make a hole to shoot through, but that was the linchpin for them on their last attack, even in the 4 versus 3. It was having that safe place to plant on the half wall. Now this job gets a lot harder as you have to try and find a way to brute force in off these just single gunfights. You can see trying to double up. The Dap's going to be the first one to walk through, but there's Head-Eye Owls to your right. You've got to be careful of them. They try to walk through team, met by the cold bullet of a shotgun. And now, well, Mr. Easter, he'll find the injure, but he ain't tangling in, he ain't jumping through. Gonna wait the timer out. And again, it's just this operator lineup. Look, 2 things for me. 1, a fundamental misunderstanding of the purpose of Hibana. You've been running Ace in the past. Ace is the man for the job here. He is the operator you want in these situations. Yep. Right? He can open up 3 walls if you need to. He can still give you that access to breach. Hibana to open up 3 walls gives you a little window where you can wave and then maybe shoot someone, maybe get shot. It's not the solution. And look, Obviously, time was working against them there, but it's because they are taking a little bit too long for my liking to get into positions to clear out utility. We've seen what they can do in that opening round if they get the conditions met. When they clear out this utility, when they have that breach open, they are very good at working together to find a solution in that dying seconds of a round. If they can get into these positions more frequently, you'd see them picking up so many more rounds.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been a good, don't get me wrong, we're going to give credit to the defense. It has been good. They've extrapolated what the weaknesses are of this attack, and they know exactly if we set a shield here, if we do this, and we set this. Of course, these could just be completely free-placed strats, and could be talking absolute nonsense, and they've not even tried to counter-strat them at all. But that's what it looks like to me, because it looks like after that first round, they realised that they are getting kind of stuck with these areas, power positions, if you will, and they can't quite get rid of them, at least not within within enough time to actually get them anything meaningful done on the round. So it looks like that's what they're doing. They're being able to actually hold on. And look at this again. It's like this cat and mouse game. You've seen the entire time Hector on the window waiting for someone to come up, and it's every single time Easter just is going to go up to put that claymore, and someone's going to eventually die to this at least. But again, they're just going to go into the stalemate now, and I think that Mr. Easter's going to rotate around. But yeah, like I was saying, it is just taking too long. We've got a minute left, a minute gone already on this one, and again, no one's in the building yet. So where are the drones? Where's the push that's coming through? Opening pick is going to go towards the defenders. Of course it is again. This time it's the Rooney that gets it. It's me that's able to get it, and it's not a good start for the attackers again.
Yeah, and again, the one thing I'll have to say, that the biggest compliment I can give to this defense is I am loving the way in which they are willing to drop back. They're willing to give space to the attack when they feel like the job is done. When they feel like, you know what, we've got our value out of this part of our defensive setup. And it's not that they're just giving up and running away to site, it's that they're moving back to the next line, to the next thing. And we're still seeing Vitalize feel that they have to deal with the utility. The run out coming through, I'm not quite sure how Adapts wins that, considering it looked like he was going for 3 or 4 possible different actions at the same time. You saw him throw the drone, you saw him go on a rappel, still comes out on top. And I mean, look, the sound coming out from that, you respect the attempt from Joker to try and take the player out on this rappel. If that had worked out, it would have been a massive swing for them. As things are, still that threat on the breach, as we're now seeing the full rotation come through. But again, look, how long have Buck and Yana had access to Geisha for? A minute?
Yeah, it's almost like I think it's actually the intel that's going wrong. They're not quite actually sending the intel now, and look, they're going to basically lose the diffuser down on the ground here because they can't deal with that shield now, because they just don't have time, and they're having to rush it, having to try and get these nades in, and they're trying to have to push these things and try. Now they're face checking things because they've been forced into that scenario because they've wasted too much time, and they know that they have a minute left, there's 40 seconds left on the clock to get this done. Joey though is able to at least get one back now, and it's still in a winnable position for the attackers here. They need to try and get something on. They need a result though. Hydra takes quite a bit of damage as he swings round on towards that dragon area. Reed is just going to sit there for a minute waiting for it. 3 versus 2 now. Another one pops in the window, and there is one down as well, and that is pretty much the light and hope of this round gone for the attackers, because it's a 1 versus 3 situation. The smoke just finishing off Hydro, and now Adapts is left with all to do as they are going to be finished off just as they reach the last 20 seconds of the round.
I think there's 2 things right to this, where one is Skyscraper is genuinely considered a very hard map to attack. It's considered very strong defensively. You have lots of ways to set up, and we're seeing IAS taking full advantage of that in being able to fall back to multiple different spots, which are very hard to contend with. Ooh. So credit to them there. The second thing is that, like you mentioned, there's this lack of information being passed between members of the team, which is leading them into a lot of slow situations. And to me, what this screams is that you have one player, and it's probably Kevin on the hard breach, who has an idea for how they want to attack, but the rest of the team isn't on the same page and requires a bit of a push to get the actions done. Right? You don't need your hard breacher there in that situation to clear the shrine door. The wall is soft, you can open it with the Buck, which is what they did. Buck had brought the flashbangs that round, you have the nades on the Yana. It's just drilling, I think, at this point. And it's definitely hard. Skyscraper isn't a map that comes up often enough. But when it does, it means your opponent has handshaken into taking this arrangement, and whoever knows the map better, whoever has these attacking strategies particularly locked down harder, will be in a massively advantageous position. But Chamberlain, I'm going to throw it back to you. You can run us through the spice that you spotted.
Yes, just as you were talking there, spotted a little sneaky operator pick there. Brava getting her first out in inside the comp, and a little bit of damage done onto the ace there. Hopefully nothing to worry about there, just maybe a spawn peak that was teased. But we'll see how Bravo will play. We'll see what we can kind of what strats she can bring, what kind of spice she can bring to the comp scene, and see what things she can do. I'm excited. I like to see new operators, and like I say, I like to see things that can do this, that can change things. And look at this, straight onto the drone to steal those ADSs away. And are they going to be aware of that? Is that something they've considered now? Because no one was even paying attention to the fact that there is a possibility that Brava could actually bring, and bring those ADSs into their control, and no one's in the room, no one knows that they've been changed. So someone's gonna maybe fall victim to that later in the round, which I hope we see, just to see for the excitement of that.
Yeah, and it will be particularly interesting when you're looking at things like the smoke that's still in their pocket. The nitro cell already used up by Hydro, so that's not something that can be caught out. But it does make this execute just a little bit easier for them when it comes time for that. Droning out, looking for players down below the castle, trying to give them some trouble here. Sorry, Mr. Easter on the Jaeger giving them a bit of trouble inside of stock. Drone coming through though, Will's be spotting him out. The Lion may be able to rotate around and try and cut off his retreat. Still the option to go through Restaurant, and looks like they got a player trying to cover that as well. Nope. Skiffly just right in there. Right in there, you cut him off, you do the job. Brilliant stuff from the attack, and catching out that first member, a great start for IAS.
Yep, wonderful start actually. The pinch there was beautifully done. The drones came in, and this is what the other side were missing. This is what Vitalize were missing on their attack. That coordination with the drones and the actual cohesion with the team to actually follow those drones and act on that information. This time we can see that for the attack of IIS. They are doing exactly that, and Joker though is going to find another one onto Kevin this time, and it looks as though they're just starting to unlock this defense and pushing in towards Drum. Now looking like we're going to get themselves another one on the board. That's Reed to get himself onto the ticket here for this round, and now it's a 2 versus 5 situation just like that, off of the intel, and they're not even anywhere near sight. They've just done an effective roam clear. That's pretty much perfect, and now they're inside of Dragon and Drum, and they've got the control. They're all the way up towards the site now, and they have 37 seconds left on the clock. So there's still time for the defenders to win this. It's still a little bit sneaky for the attackers as they get to pushing towards Office now. But of course those ADSs have been stolen earlier on, so the nades could come through if they're able to at least remember that they've stolen those. Over 4 versus 2 as SMG11 finds one shot. That's adapted to find another, but pushing in finds a second one. 3 versus 1 though, but it's not enough. The sheer overwhelming amount of players that just come in through the Office is just not enough for them to deal with it. Now it is an attacking sided round that they're able to take that easily. That was a picture perfect attack in my opinion, to be honest.
I had to say, I was a little bit nervous at one point where, yeah, they got the kill on the Jaeger, but there's only a minute 20 left on the round. There's a lot of time invested by 3 players to catch out this roamer below, but the thing that impressed me was how quickly they go from that. Okay, you now know there's no one below. There's no one coming up behind us. We can just solely focus on pushing through the rest of this top floor. And they were very good at finding picks, right? You have a player reinforcing off the geisha wall to Drum, caught out a little bit there because Raffia's just instantly at the top of the staircase, applying pressure on that doorway. You got the buff for the refrag when you need it, like just ready to go. And I mean, I think not the Buck, sorry, the Brava also has the cameras ready to go on the doorway to get that refrag. That's a bit that's weird for you now having another cameras to see, but. You have these ways that they're playing, they're pushing forwards and getting these picks in a very timely manner, and that made up for the time that they spent earlier on getting this initial pick, and they could do so safely because they now know there's no one behind them. So it all kind of pieced together for them in the end.
Yeah, and I think if we're comparing the attacks, that's actually where the other side were going wrong. That's where IS are going right, and that's where Vitalize are going wrong on their attack, because what I noticed was that it was the actual entry game that was the issue. Of course, they were just taking too long to get in the building. Their actual utility clear wasn't too bad. It was just because it was a bit rushed that it was not kind of not kind of piecing together when they eventually got to it. It was the entry game that was the issue. Now, the IS though, on the other hand, they droned people in. They got the pinch as soon as they had the information that they were clear and they could move into the map. They did it. They just acted straight away. They were like, "Yep, we know, cool, let's go in." There wasn't any hesitation, there wasn't any, is there maybe someone here? We don't know. They used those drones effectively, they got the information, and then they acted on it, and that's been the difference throughout this entire matchup. And just as I said, first pick though is going to go towards the defenders. Is this the comeback though? Because it's a 6-1 situation, and we need at least a 5-round flush run just to at least get this on the overtime.
Attackers have recovered the diffuser.
Well, still toying around with this breach. The defense not falling back just yet. Still want to play around, and Hydro putting in the work, able to catch the player, trying to walk up house stairs. Now still in this position, got the cover from Terrace as well. The rappel in off the balcony, though, will give some cause to be a little bit more aware of the player walking in behind you, but it doesn't matter if the Lion in front is able to secure the kills required. That is going to be the sign for the Jaeger to fall back a bit, though, Chamberlain. And now you're looking at a little bit of a difficult spot to crack, because they have fallen back to their utility. They're not going to walk up any further. They're not going to give anything away for breach yet.
Yep, good. It's been a good round so far. It's been a nice round. He's been holding stuff up. An angle there from Kevin. He's able to find the shot onto the player 2. He's able to get the down onto 1 and get the kill onto Hydro there, who was getting aggressive inside the drum. But Kevin will be revived because he is still safely inside the site. So it's not completely panic stations just yet for the defense, who've just unfortunately conceded at that man count now, as Reed's now pushing towards drum and looking for more on the hunt now, but gets downed and dealt with further trouble. Joey is able to get that. The DMRs trade back and forward, and it is Joey to come out on top. Now a 2 versus 3 situation. Waves are still there, still going to waste some time, using some of those breaching charges just to create a rotate round towards the terrace and getting towards drum now. Kevin, remember, of course, he's still on 20 odd HP, so just one bullet will take him straight out of the round, but they need to get in towards drum now. They need to start getting this pressure in. 30 seconds left on the clock now, moving towards drum as they move towards the site now, and now the wall is opened up, and 1 versus 3 situation here. Joey's able to get at least one, and now it's Hector who's left dead. Sikali on 1 versus 3, and the DMR still just coming out from a Rooney, and eventually he's actually pistol. Doesn't come out in time. Kevin though is able to get the final shot, and that will be the defenders at least winning out a round. They're able to get one. They're able to get one.
Drag 1 back. It's still match point for IAS though, which means Vitalize, well, on the back foot. Definitely on, again, a bit of a lifeline. You're just waiting to see what they can pull off, and you're expecting IS to eventually find a way to break through. Exhibition Room Office, the next site to come out for Vitalize, and we're seeing Reed sticking with this Bravo. Interesting, because last time we saw it, they hacked the 2 ADSs. Those 2 ADSs did get shot out. We didn't really see much else from the Brava, but I wonder if that's just worth it enough, right? You'd bring a Twitch drone to destroy 2 ADSs. Would you call that a worth trade? Probably.
I don't know. It depends if they're actually in an impactful position, which they were last time. If they depends. Yes, don't know. They brought the Brava again, so they've at least kind of, they seem to think that bringing Brava again is going to make an impact.
Or he's just trying to get his money's worth out of the year pass. That's the other option, right? It's like, yep, I'm committed to buying it, gonna force it. And I mean, look, it's definitely fun to see teams trying to experiment with it. Doesn't look like we're gonna see the trap award go to Rene yet, just because, well, there's no traps on the table for him to capture. The attack once again formulating pretty directly here. Gonna get that breach open up very early on. Again, you've got the thermite to get onto the balcony to start opening up some of the walls, so that if you want to rotate later, you can. At the very least, you can keep a player on the rappel or on the balcony like we've seen them doing. Both teams doing really, and then rotate back around to join the team on the other side of the map when you're going for that main push. But a change up of guns though for Ree. No longer feeling the cameras, wants to go onto the para now. Nice to see a bit of diversity. Both get brought out, you know.
Yeah, I like seeing the both of them, and I think the Para's one of the nicest guns in the game. Not because of it plays pretty well, but it's the sound. The sound's so nice. It's one of those guns that just sounds great. So it's always nice to at least observe that. So I like seeing a little bit of it, changing things. You know, maybe we'll try the DMR, maybe it's not working. It worked here. In Ree's defense, it was working either way. I don't think it matter which gun they had, would still be the top fragger, because that's exactly what's happened throughout the whole game. So I don't think it matters which gun they have in their hands, to be honest, and we'll see how this plays out in a minute, in just a second, because we're now less than 2 minutes, and they've got the wall open. They're now got the bottom control. They have the control downstairs inside the bedroom, so they have an option to use this buck if they want to try and put the pressure. The run out comes out there, and the repel, and Hydro gets himself a free kill, just uses the sound cue to go sending straight out that double door and gets himself the first pick on the round. But Joker's there for at least one refrag to come straight through, and it's Mr. Easter that has dealt with the 4 versus 4 situation. A minute left, well, a minute 20 left on the clock, so still plenty of time for both teams to open up this round and get themselves in a winner's position. Novitskar is able to get next pick on this round, and it's Adapts that falls, and now things start to fall apart for the defenders here, and it looks as though IS could start to run away with things, but key thing is IS, so there's a couple of members that are not looking too great in terms of HP, so could go either way still.
I don't want to point the finger, but I think that might have come off a slightly quirky grenade throw coming out from Joker, as Hydro able to get the kill onto Sukariasu now, so 3v3, health advantage in the favor of the defense. This could be another one that Vitalize hold on to, but Hector creeping around on this balcony might have gone undetected. He's been able to trade out one, but both of his teammates have fallen elsewhere, trying to push for house stairs. Now the defense are split. They have lots of options to choose. They're going to be aggressive through the door. He doesn't know. He's just on his right. He pulls out the flashbang. Joey hears the pin pulled, and he swings round for the final kill. And Vitalize once again grabbing another one of these defensive rounds, showing up where it matters most. They're going to be pushing IAS for all they.
Well, I think it feels like a Carter's Curse kind of moment. We praised them on their really, really good attack on their first one, and then since then they've not been able to win a round. So I think we may have some kind of part to play in that through the ether. They've maybe heard us and thought, you know what, we need to start throwing some rounds a little bit. But then again, to the defense's credit, to Vitalize's credit, they have been really good. They've been able to stop the the advance early on, and it's the same thing we've seen on the other side. That first minute it feels like it's going before anyone's even done anything. It's insane. It feels like we're actually playing 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds, and it's so strange. And it is meaning though that we're getting a nice kind of bit of entertainment though in that last minute, because we're getting quite a few trades back and forward, which is also not great for the streamer man, because I'm struggling to see everything. It's fine. We'll carry on. We'll march through, and we'll see if we can make an exciting even so far. So, IS 3 rounds in front. So we still have that cushion. We still have time. We still have plenty of opportunity to win this out. And I don't think they'll be worried yet. A couple of rounds, a couple of mistakes. I don't think they'll be panic stations yet. So I think it's still edge out.
This kind of whole we're playing 2-minute rounds thing kind of falls nicely into a bit of hand-selected anecdotes I might have to refer to later when justifying my hot take of rounds being 2 minutes 30 rather than 3. I think it can work, boys. Look, hear me out on this. I think we'd be fine, but what isn't fine is Joker. After doing so much work, finding opening picks, being that player to put his team in the advantage, gonna get caught out very early on by Easter, and now they're looking to try and hunt down the Jaeger inside of Geisha, but just holding on tight. The reinforced on the single panel. The box is doing a great job to provide a little bit of cover inside his. You got the breach open up with the Maverick. You got that threat, but so far nothing to really show for it. Hector bringing out the drones now just to try and make sure that this office side of the building is clear, that they can walk through and take this control. Your first threat is going to be lurking around the corner in Drum.
Yeah, I think we might be graduating into a new phase here for the attackers, because I think they're starting to feel the pressure just a little bit. They're getting a little bit overzealous and a little bit too quick with a couple of things, and just you've seen that obviously that early pick there for that, against Joker there, and I think that's where they need to tighten this up. That's what they need to do. They need to coordinate things a little bit better. What we've seen in that first round was great, and since then it's just been pretty much a disaster so far for the first half of their attack. They are up to terrace now though. They have got at least some movement in terms of getting into the actual map. They've still not got anywhere near site. Remember, the site is barbecue. It's not it's not tea, it's not karaoke. 4 versus 4 though, Sickle is able to find the daps now, and it's at least now brought into the man count being the same. So we can now at least begin this attack and start to constrict down towards this site as puts us into a better position for the attackers and brings to 4 versus 3 and finds Joey.
Yeah, still one player lurking on black stairs though, so if you don't pay that respect of checking the angle when you walk through the T-room door, you're going to get downed. But instead, Sledge off the board, Ree no longer able to do anything, and with that hammer, the site below, there's one of the operators you'd like to have still alive. Mr. Easter just upstairs above inside of Geisha still has not fallen back off this spot as the flashbangs come through. He's able to hit the pick onto the Maverick quickly. met by Hector. Now the 2 versus 2, 30 seconds on the clock. There's still enough for them to recover this diffuser. They're going to check the drop instantly. That Gemini is shot out by the player below. One bottom of black stairs. That's the Oryx, the Mute playing inside of Kitchen itself. 15 seconds for them here, Chambrainers. They're just going for the drop. They're going for the push down black stairs, but you've got to be careful of the player on your left. He's hiding around the corner. He's waiting. He's begging you to walk on in. He moves onto the table. He grabs both.
Oh, wow. What? That's Hydra, they're just lurking in the bathroom, just waiting for someone to come down the stairs. They had pretty much they had 3 options there: main stairs, hatch, or staircase. So it's just a lottery, basically. You know, the 2 players cover one of each, and then hope that they don't take that 3rd option. And that's exactly what happened. Where a player covering the hatch, a player covering the staircase, and they took that bait and they went down the staircase, and they didn't check. They didn't think there's going to be someone outside of the site, which is just unfortunate for them. It's, you know, you can't hold that against them. You know, 20 seconds left on the clock. They just had to go for the site. They had to get to the site as quick as possible, and they took what they thought was the least riskiest way to kind of do it. But it's still the same mistakes. Both attacks have made exactly the same thing, and they're just wasting so much time before actually getting themselves any map control that they can do anything. At the time they have it, it's a minute 20 on the clock, and they still have to deal with a shield. They still have to deal with a wall, or still have to clear one player out. They actually forget that you actually have to do some work when you get to the site. So like I said, it's 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, I mean, time has been a quirky thing. It's been interesting for both teams trying to sort of overcome it, and I think we're seeing IS have a little bit of a better grasp of getting this space quickly, but still not quite the same mastery, right? And it's certainly difficult. It's certainly a little bit challenging for them, but now it's really dangerous. You don't want to be hitting overtime, not only because it gives you a chance to throw away the game and you end up losing, but even if you win, you want maximum points available, right? You don't want to be in that situation where you're only taking 2 for a win, at which you were one round away from. You were 6-2 up at one point. You're not defender side of map. I get it. It's going to be hard to break, but they really need to find something here, and the Dokkaebi could be the solution for them. It does help them at kind of just locking down and finding out these early aromas. As you're watching Mr. East on the Melusi now, the Banshees to try and continue to slow down this attack. Trying to wait to see how the first domino falls and in which direction.
Yeah, this is what I mean though. We're 2 minutes into the round and Mr. East is still shooting drones. They're just not quick enough. It's the same as what we've seen throughout the entire matchup. They're just not getting in towards this area and quick enough to get them anywhere near the site. You know, they have to clear out still office, and they've still not done it yet, so they're still trying to deal with these players. The nades are coming out though. Cycle's not able to get that in just yet though. Cycle though is able to at least cut the rotate onto Adapt, so, and just like that, it's a 1-2 punch, and Joker deals with Mr. Easter at the same time, and we're in a 5 versus C situation. So I need to see some speed, some momentum, take that with the attack and get through towards Dragon. There's no one there. Get the drones ahead and let's get pushing here. Hector though is going to be down for his trouble. Not quite dealt with though, because that shield though is able to at least not quite find the angle to get the final shot, to get the kill, but they still have to deal with the shield. Still have a minute 20 seconds, so it's not completely all to the walls just yet. So they still have time to actually be a bit methodical about this. But they're now, if they keep taking their time though, if they keep just wasting time and chilling out though, they might give this back to the defenders, and I wouldn't be surprised though, because Sickly though has got himself in a down situation, and it just seems like everybody seems to be getting down left, right and centre, but not quite getting finished off. And finally they deal with that shield, so they can now get in towards Dragon and get towards that site.
Gemini still on cooldown. You got a couple drones still available, so just hoping that one of those can come through to give the information required. Speaking of which, the Gemini back off of cooldown can now drone out for themselves and get a little bit of information. Now that they know drum is clear, they can start to walk forwards. You're seeing Dokkaebi the first one to really make that aggressive move. No logic bomb calls left to be able to deploy. The rotation coming through now to put themselves on the balcony of Geisha to apply pressure on the side as well. I really like the split that we're seeing, but with Breach closed off, it's going to be required to go through one of 2 doorways as Hector's the first to fall. Joker able to refrag it by walking up the stairs. Joker, a triple kill on the round. He's finding the second within the execute. Kevin from inside of Geisha, he's the last one left. The plant going down inside of T. They should be safe here. Don't engage with the mute. Just play these angles. The drop comes down, he's below, but the time now working against Kevin in the 1 versus 3 to keep his team in the map. He's walking towards Black Stairs, looking to go up it slowly. The barbed wire will give his position away. You can see the rotation that finds one, particularly in position, waiting for them to bounce back and grabs the final kill. It took them a little bit longer than they would have liked to get to the end of this map, Chamberlain, but they were able to do it. They were able to pull it back, and they were able to stop themselves from needing that overtime to see the round through.
Yeah, I'm glad they did it, because I always want to see games being competitive, but I never want to see someone throw a game like getting all the way to match point and then conceding the points, stuff like that. I never want to see an overtime in that. I like to see a kind of tit for tat scenario where we go back and forward, and then we get to overtime. That's what I'd prefer to see. So it wouldn't, that nice to see them lose that. We did get a couple extra rounds and almost a fight back there from Vitalize, which was nice. But they finally got that attack together, and it was exactly what I spoke about. They didn't use the time as well as what they could have done. But it was that 1-2 punch that happened in the middle of the round. It was just as soon as they got it. This is the difference from their attacks to the attacks of Vitalize. They were able to string it together after they got those picks. As soon as they got them, they were straight into office, straight all the way up to Dragon. We want to start moving on towards this shield. They want to start pressurizing that area and get that power position dealt with. Whereas the other side, Vitalize just didn't do that. They got the picks or they got the information and they just didn't really react at all. Or they just took too long, and it was almost like a little bit too attentive. They were a little just a bit like, I don't really want to do anything with it. Whereas IES, they did. They took those risks, and we've seen that with their engagements, and that's probably why they actually lost quite a lot of the attacking rounds, because they took those engagements. They were like, we got the info, right, we're going to do it, and they just weren't winning the ones, and they weren't winning and eventually, it did work out in the end. So it was nice. It was a nice game. It was exciting, it was enjoyable, and we had seen some good performances all through it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I think the thing for Vitalize going forward is just having everyone on the same page. I don't want to say don't go to Skyscraper, because they looked good. They looked good in situations where they were strong. And I think there's definitely things that they can take away from this game and work on. I think if they're on a bit more of a balanced map, if they're on something like your clubhouses or like your chalets, maybe they stand a more of a fighting chance. Maybe they're able to contend on some of these attacks where everyone knows what their job is to do, where they can all sort of push in together, because, like you mentioned, that disconnect was ultimately what held them back on the attacking side of things. Defensively, looked pretty sharp, looked alright, just not quite as strong as IAS, and ultimately that's what led to them losing out this game. Congratulations to IAS, who are now 2-0 in the league, have the full 6 points available from their first 2 games. I mean, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah, it's been a good performance. Like I say, they kind of fluffed a couple of rounds in the middle there, but all in all, I think they'll be happy with the performance, and it's the best you can get really from Sky. Like, especially with the stage of the tournament that it's in, you don't want to show too much, because it's still best of ones, But you don't want to be shown a hell of a lot. If you can get away with just doing the basics of Siege, then you'll be happy with that, and I think they will be. That's pretty much it. But I think that's all we can discuss for this one. We've got another game coming up just shortly, and I think we're going to go for a short break. So, anything else you want to add before we go?
No, that's all. Just make sure you're back for game number 2 this evening, and we'll catch you all in a bit.
Yep, see ya.